Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? How have you been? What's been going on with you, right? I don't even have the time right now to tell you what's been going on with me, but I'm so extremely busy. But I'm happy to pop in. I need to catch up on some things, so we got to jump right into it today. We have no time to waste. So we already know that James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley, they both were convicted of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. And I'm bringing this video to you because I want you to hear those threatening messages that was brought up in James Crumbley's case against the prosecutor. So that's what this video is about. Okay. So if you go to the Hidden Horror Facebook page, okay, there's been a lot going on in the case, but I'm going to focus in primarily on the prosecutor requesting the maximum sentence for James and Jennifer Crumbley. That would be 10 to 15 years, and also the alleged threatening messages from James Crumbley to the prosecutor, Karen McDonald. Okay, so the first article that we're going to go to is going to be from, let's see. Okay. It's on the DetroitNews.com website. It's titled Prosecutors Detail Threats Made by James Crumbley Asks for 10 to 15 years for both parents. The article is dated it's like they're giving me like an ad or something. I guess I just gotta bypass the ad. This ad is huge. I don't know, it's weird. Like instead of getting the article, I'm getting like a big ad. Let's see. Okay. The article is dated April 3rd, 2024. Is by Kara Bird. Okay, she's wrote a lot of them. Okay. In jail costs spanning at least 7 months, James Crumbley repeatedly threatened Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald, calling her expletives and saying he was on a rampage and the attorney was going down, according to details released Wednesday in the prosecutor's sentencing memorandum. Crumbley, the father of the Oxford High School shooter, refers to McDonald as that effing stupid whore B. I apologize for this language. Terrible language. And addresses the comments to her at times saying, I hope you're listening to this, according to the memorandum. Yeah, Karen McDonald, you're going down. Yeah, you stupid B at the jail. Go ahead, record this call. Send it to Karen McDonald. Tell her how James Crumbley is going to effing take her down, he said October the 9th. The memorandum was filed just days before Crumbley, along with his wife Jennifer, are to be sentenced Tuesday in Oakland Circuit Court by Judge Cheryl Matthews after being convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors are asking Matthews to sentence both James and Jennifer Crumbley to 10 to 15 years in prison. 15 is the maximum sentence allowed by law. In their 52-page memorandum for James, which includes exhibits, Prosecutors said leading up to and during his trial last month, his behavior showed a complete lack of remorse and disrespect for the court proceedings. Defendant's jail call showed that he blamed everyone but himself for what happened and that he repeatedly referred to himself as being persecuted and considered himself a martyr. Prosecutors wrote, wow, that's kind of like really crazy, because I know the suffering that those parents are feeling. Okay, let's just keep going. Both James and Jennifer, meanwhile, asked Matthews to sentence them to time served. They have been in the Oakland County Jail for nearly 2.5 years since their December 2021 arrest. 4 children are dead. Multiple people injured, still suffering with anxiety, fear, PTSD, the inability to go into places, be in groups, go into the public, maybe mental health counseling. I mean, this has derailed their lives for some of them, destroyed some of their lives, and they should get time served? I don't think so, but okay. But prosecutors said that James' shameless lack of remorse and asking for time served as his sentence is a slap in the face to the severity of tragedy caused by his gross negligence, to the victims and their families, and to the applicable law that is premised on the concept of proportionate sentencing, prosecutors wrote. They also touched on Jennifer's gross negligence, writing her actions after the shooting and her statements in jail calls during testimony and after trial show a chilling lack of remorse. My biggest issue was when Jennifer Crumbley said she would not change anything. She would not go back if she could, make different choices, take Ethan home, her son Ethan home, inform the school that they had purchased him a GUN. At any point, try to do something different in the hopes that a different result would happen, that maybe nobody would be hurt, nobody would be killed, nobody would be suffering with all this PTSD. She said she wouldn't change anything, which is it's an extraordinary statement, knowing everything that happened, the trajectory of their lives, those kids who were killed, those kids that were injured, the staff, the administration. She said she wouldn't change anything. They both appear to be very cold and callous. You know, I can only imagine how they raised their son. Earlier this year, separate juries in Oakland County convicted Jennifer and James of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for their role in the deaths of 4 students shot by their son, Ethan in November 2021, Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, Tate Meir, and Justin Shelley. Those were 4 of the victims that were killed, and there were other victims that were injured and still suffering to this day. Jennifer asked to be released from jail and serve her sentence on house arrest, noting her attorney, Shannon Smith, said she could live in her guest house in Oakland County. Well, you guys already know how I felt about attorney Shannon Smith. I did a whole video on her behavior, how people, if they wanted to, they could put in a complaint to the Michigan Attorney Grievance Commission due to her behavior, some of the things that she said in the courtroom, how she was very disrespectful in the courtroom and to the victims of the families. So this is outrageous. Okay, let's finish this off. Neither defense attorney Shannon Smith for Jennifer and Meryl Lehman for James have filed sentencing memorandums with the court. They did not respond for comment on Wednesday. James Crumbley is accused of prosecutors of lying. Let's just wrap this up. During his trial in March, it emerged that James had made threats against someone, but it wasn't disclosed whom he threatened. In the pre sentence investigation report, Crumbley wrote that he did not participate in the shooting and said he had no knowledge that he had ever gotten access to a gun, to his gun. He's talking about his son. I feel absolutely horrible and devastated for what happened to those four children, he wrote. I would give anything to go back and do something different that would have changed what happened. I do believe that James Crumbley, he does show at times, he had shown at times remorse and guilt. Not during his trial, but prior to his trial. I do believe that about him. I do believe that. I don't believe that about Jennifer Crumbley. He asked Matthews to sentence him to time served, noting he has spent nearly 2.5 years in jail since he was arrested in December of 2021. He said he was wrongfully accused and now wrongfully convicted of involuntary manslaughter. My actions were that of any other parent. Ethan was a great kid. He never got in trouble at school, had decent grades, and very rarely got in trouble at home, he wrote. You didn't know your son. You didn't know your son. You didn't know what he was thinking. You didn't talk to him. You didn't know his thoughts. You didn't read his journal. You didn't see that he was watching mass shootings on his phone. You didn't know all the problems that he had that was going on in his mind because you wouldn't be able to write this, you know? You didn't spend time with him. Ethan always appeared to be a very stable individual. Never did he voice anything to me that anything was bothering him. Like, I don't even have the time for this, but let me just let parents know. The children are not going to come to you. They may be more comfortable with an adult, but it won't be with you. It will be with their friends, their peers, somebody that's disconnected to their life. All of the things that they have going on that they can confide in. They're not going to tell their parent, hey, parent, I want to do a mass shooting. I'm planning a mass shooting. I'm thinking about doing a mass shooting. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm lonely. You have to look at the behaviors with intention. With intention. You cannot just exist with your kid, but not put any time, not look at their attitude, how they feel, how they respond, what they're doing, what they're spending their time doing. What are they doing online? Who are their friends? Like, it's a lot that you can do as a parent to make sure that there's no mental instability, no mental disorders. A lot of people have problems. A lot of people are going through things, coming out of things in that thing at this time. But it's the parent's job to check in, to connect, to ask questions, to be observant, and with intention, do something about what you see. Okay, let's keep going. Never did he voice anything to me that anything was bothering him. I talked with him every day. He always said, things are fine, Dad. I'd ask about school and assignments or how he was doing with his friends being gone. Same answer, always just fine. He'll be back, and I have other friends at school. He just reminded me of any other 15-year-old, typical teenager. He wasn't a typical teenager. He didn't have friends. He had one friend. The one friend that went away, that disconnected, was no longer in contact with your son. Your son needed attention. He needed your attention. He needed your time. He needed your concern. He's not a typical teenager. He's struggling. And again, many kids are struggling with depression, anxiety, different types of fears. This was prior to the pandemic, but the pandemic kind of made things worse. And if you have a child and they're kind of alone, isolated, they don't have any friends, they don't go out, they're not involved in activities, sports, you have to put in extra work, right? You as a parent, maybe you have to do things with them. If they like video games, play their video games. If they like fishing, take them fishing. If they like the movies, bowling, you have to put in that extra time, that extra attention. It may cost you a little bit of money, or you can do things that are free. You know, you have to be creative with your kids and meet them where they are. Okay. James accused the prosecution of lying, noting that they said during his son's Miller hearing, where a judge determined it would be fair to sentence him to life without parole as a juvenile, that the shooter was not mentally ill. Prosecutors have refuted the allegation of playing both sides, saying the legal definition of mentally ill is different than having depression or anxiety. The reasons I charged The reasons I was charged have been concluded to not be true. Yet I'm still prosecuted as if they were, James wrote. And they used this information against Ethan in the Miller hearing. And then I was not allowed to use it in my defense. So my prosecution and convictions are based on lies, things my son said only to his friend and emotions. Listen, we're not going to relitigate all of this. We're not. All of that is done, and you were convicted. There was so much evidence against a lot of evidence against Jennifer Crumbley, and there was some evidence against James Crumbley, but it all goes down to ordinary care and that gross negligence. Okay, prosecutors also alleged in their sentencing memorandum that James gave McDonald the middle finger during the trial. Jennifer, I wouldn't do anything different shows lack of remorse. Prosecutors brought up statements Jennifer made while testifying during her trial when she said she would not do anything different. She elaborated on this in her pre-sentence investigation report, saying hindsight made a difference. At trial, when I was on the stand, I was asked if I would have done anything differently. I testified that I would not have, and that is true without the benefit of hindsight that I have now, she wrote. This is years later. Like, okay, with the information I have now, of course, my answer would be hugely different. There were so many things that I would change if I could go back in time. I knew my son to be a quiet, good kid who loved his pets. He tortured birds. I never imagined he would hurt other people in the way that he did. I don't believe that. She may have even grown afraid of him. Prosecutors said this was not the first time Jennifer made statements like this. She said in a jail call in June of 2022 that she would not do anything different. Beyond defendant's gross negligence, her actions after the shooting and her statements in jail calls during testimony and after trial show a chilling lack of remorse, prosecutors wrote. I'm going to share my screen because I want you to hear some of the jail calls. So let's do that.
This afternoon, we're now hearing the phone calls made by James Crumbley from inside the Oakland County Jail. In those calls, you'll hear the father of the Oxford school shooter using threatening words when talking about Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald. CBS News Detroit's Jordan Burroughs takes a closer look.
There is a lot to these jail recordings, to these phone calls. They're all over the place, but it is mostly filled with profanity and threats to prosecutor Karen McDonald.
You gotta drive me insane in this place. Locked up God cage for no reason. Yeah, Karen McDonald, you're when I get out.
James Crumbley sounded off on his feelings about the Oxford High School shooting and the prosecutor handling the case. In the calls, he refers to himself as a martyr.
We're martyrs, you know, without the whole dying aspect of it, because I don't know a better word to use, so I used the word martyr. But we're martyrs to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else in America again. I feel like I joined the military and I'm going to fight for my country. You know, I kind of am. I'm fighting for everybody else's freedom.
James Crumbley's jail communications were revoked on March 7th during his trial. The prosecution says his threatening jail calls show he hasn't taken responsibility for his role as a parent in the Oxford High School shooting carried out by his son. During his rants, Crumbley even joked that Karen McDonald would end up working at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, Karen McDonald, you're going down. Yeah, you stupid at the jail. Go ahead, record this call. Send it to Karen McDonald. She will not have a law license when I get done with her. And like I said earlier, Karen McDonald will be working at McDonald's because she ain't going to be able to get a job anywhere else.
We also learned Jennifer Crumbley, James Crumbley's wife, who was also sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison, has been transferred from the Oakland County Jail to the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Ypsilanti. We have much more of these fiery phone calls on our website, cbsdetroit.com. In studio, Jordan Burroughs, CBS News, Detroit.
Do you know a 2023 high school graduate?
Okay, everybody. I just wanted you to hear some of those jail calls so you can kind of understand why they were brought up. They probably will be considered at the sentencing, in addition to just the convictions alone. So I'm going to come back and do 2 more videos. One of the videos is their Oakland County Sheriff. He did a video talking about the impact of the mass shooting on the community with the victims. So I do want to go over that because to me that is a big piece, an important piece of all of this, right? What is the impact to the community? How can we improve? How can we help prevent something like this from happening? And then, of course, I'm going to go over the sentencing for James and Jennifer Crumbley. I'm sure you already know they received each 10 to 15 years. And I'm going to highlight probably 2 or 3 of the victim impact statements. Again, they did them with their son, Ethan Crumbley, and they did it a little bit different. They're turning their attention, the victims' families, to the school, their actions, and things of that matter. So I do plan on doing 2 more videos. So thank you for spending this time with me. I'm trying to squeeze this in as I go about my busy day. So thank you. I will see you soon in a video. Be safe, be smart, stay savvy. Be well, all my friends. Bye, everybody.